Hi everyone. So this week we're going to have a look at Google Forms, how you can send out some questionnaires and some quizzes to your classes. We're going to look at a few different question types that Google have on offer, how to configure some of the settings, how to send out the form, and then also how to collate the responses once people have filled it in as well. So there's a lot of different question types that you can add on with Google Forms, which are really useful. We're going to go through how to set up some now. So when you're on your Google Drive, quite simply go to New, and then once you're there, click on More and then Google Forms. This will bring up your starting template by default, which will look something like this. Now, if I type in a title, for example, Test Form 1, it'll update the title here as well when I click up there automatically. And you can add a description down here as well if you need to. This will bring up a few different options and how to set up some of the aesthetics for the form, and you can also add in videos and images on the banners as well. Adding into your question, if we click down here, we've got our first question preloaded already. So if we put in test question 1, and then we can see by default it's loaded it in as a multiple choice question to start with. If I click on this drop down menu, it brings up a few different options. Short answer and paragraph answers are very straightforward. They're just your text-based questions where you're going to leave it as an open response for however people choose to fill it in, just limiting the number of characters that can be used. Then you have your multiple choice and checkboxes here for drop down and drop down menus as well, if you're giving a few different options. You can also use some linear scales. Let's add in a couple of these questions now to have a look. So if I want to do a multiple choice question, it will give me option 1 by default. And then if I wanted to, I can click and I can change this the text into however I want. Say if I chose to change it to um, 2, you can just type over the top. And you can click to add in other options very easily here. Or you can give an add other box as well, which will then give the person filling it in a text option if they disagree. Once you've got these filled in, it will notify you if you have any duplicates, and you can then quickly change that if you need to. And you can also see that with each of these, we have an add image option here, which is quite nice. So if I wanted to add in an image, I could go to Google Drive and we could look for something here, or we can go on to searching via Google and you can find any images that you want there. For example, if I wanted to make a questionnaire about ducks, selecting your image is very easy to import, as it is with most Google programs. It'll just take a moment or two to load in. Bear in mind, though, that the more images you do put into your forms, the slower they will be to load generally for everyone else. You can also put in videos here as well. So if you wanted to do, say, a questionnaire about some video content, that's quite easy to configure as well. You just simply go through the add video option. That's pretty much it. It's quite straightforward. You can make the questions required to answer before progressing or before you submit the form, or you can leave it off depending on how essential these questions are for your particular quiz. Adding in a new question, you just look for the plus button and that will automatically fill it in straight away. Now, some of the other ones do give you a few different options. The linear scale in particular is quite nice. For example, we could have how much do you like ducks? And then we could let our people choose between 1 to 5, or we can change it to 1 to 10, and then you can label those as well. And that's quite a simple thing to do here as well. There we go. So how much do you like ducks? We've got a nice big picture of a duck, and then we've got some extra questions in there as well. Why not? There's a lot of different question options, and if you do want to have a look through them some more, I would recommend on the slides that are going to be shared, have a look at the example form here, open this up, and you can see how some of them are configured and put together by having a look through one of the questionnaires I've already set up. It's very straightforward to do, and it can be very fun to do as well. Okay, have a look at some of the settings then. This cog up here is your standard Google image to show all of the settings, and we've got 3 different tabs across the top for general, presentation, and quizzes. General, it has got some nice settings in here where you can collect email addresses when people submit it, and you can make them sign in to complete your form as well, which means you're then able to limit it to 1 response per user. You can choose whether or not you want people to be able to edit the form after they've submitted it, or if it's a one-time only thing, which is possibly more useful for quizzes. And then you can let them see summary charts if you want to, but that's your choice. I often don't use those ones. For the presentation, you can change the progress bar and you can also shuffle the order. I don't use these ones too much, but sometimes a confirmation message for completing the quiz can be quite nice, or completing the form, and you can just add in a general thank you for your time kind of message, or however you want. You can also turn your form into a quiz though. Now, this involves you setting up correct answers, and also you can then assign point values if you wish to as well. This is quite a nice option for if you want to use it for assessments, and it's especially good because you can also collate the answers as a Google Sheet automatically. Now, if I save that as a quiz, now when I'm filling out my questions, I can set up an answer key and I can say which one is the correct answer, which is quite a nice thing to be able to do. And then you can assign however much you want your point value to be as well. Once you have configured all of your settings and you're happy with how they are all set up, you can then send out the form to your class. Clicking on the send button brings up a few different options. You can send via email, or you can put a link, or you can embed it if you wish to as well. The link's quite nice because you can shorten the URL automatically. That can be a nice way of sharing it via Google Classroom, or if you want to just put in a link like I showed earlier on my example form. I converted mine into a bit.ly one because I did find that these ones weren't actually as short as I wanted them to be. They are far too long to really expect a class of primary school learners to try and type in. So I thought that was a bit long. All right. Lastly, once people have filled in your form, you can collate the responses very easily. At the top, you've got the second tab for responses. And what's really nice is you've got it already here integrated with Google Sheets. Clicking on this button will automatically create a sheet, or you can send them to an existing one if you wish to do so. I often just create a new one for each individual form though. Creating that will automatically generate a sheet and it will be linked to this form now. This will then collect the information depending on how you set up your different settings, and you can then sort and order this information through that. As people continue to fill in more forms, this will then continue to update this document automatically, which is some very, very nice functionality. I'm not going to go into detail today about how to sort this information. That'll be on a later video. That's it for now. Thanks very much.